Steel particle, steel particle. Boston Celtics, steel particle, steel particle. Oh yeah! Steel particle, steel particle. Boston Celtics, steel particle, steel particle. Banner 19.
Beat Rob, Jim, Becca, Jake King.
Steel particle, steel particle.
The Caesar on the court to get another ring.
Steel particle, steel particle.
Everybody in the chat now sing.
Steel particle, steel particle. Steel particle, steel particle. Boston Celtics, steel particle, steel particle. Oh yeah! Shut your ass up, man.
Daddy's always happening here.
What's happening, everybody? It's me, Jay King from The Athletic, here with Brian Robb from MassLive.com, breaking down Celtics-Kings, a comfortable Celtics win, but at a cost. At a cost. Domantas Sabonis, flagrant foul, Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum left the game with a left ankle sprain. He was in a lot of pain at first. You don't normally see Tatum react too over the top to things. He keeps it pretty calm and collected most of the time, but he was writhing in pain on the ground for a while. He ended up walking under his own power. He returned to the court to shoot the free throws after the and one and the flagrant foul. So that's all good signs, but he did not return to the game. And obviously this is something he'll need to deal with soon. B-Rob, how dirty was that play by Sabonis?
Not great. I mean, this is why they put in the rule to make that a flagrant foul call. So it was a reckless closeout. I feel like if you look at Sabonis's track record over his career, I feel like you'll find a few of these. Not that he's like the dirtiest player, but I feel like reckless closeouts like do tend to happen with him from time to time. And yeah, and I mean, we'll see. The Celtics bench was none too pleased, as they shouldn't be, as were many of the players on the court. But yeah, I mean, what's your read on it?
Hear Al Horford, I think he was saying something like, "Are you serious?
Right?
Are you serious?" I
Well, they know
exactly what he was saying.
They know that's your guy. That's literally the guy who never gets hurt, who was down on the floor for a long time. And I know, Jay, like the closest we'll hear from Joe in a bit to get more answers, but like that was reminiscent. I feel like the only time I feel like he's been in that big of a pain for an ankle injury was Game 7 against the Heat.
Yeah, and obviously he kept playing in that one, but
that was messed
it was
up.
Game 7. He would not have played if that was what day is today? Monday night in Sacramento. I'm always torn on those plays because if you're Domantas Sabonis guarding in space against Jayson Tatum, you're in just a world of trouble.
Yeah.
And it's like you're scrambling to get as close to him as possible, to take away that space, to make sure. And he was hot. Jayson Tatum had a very good night. He had made a bunch of tough threes, including one like minutes before that was basically in front of one of the benches. It was just a extremely tough shot. And so you're trying to stay as close as possible. It's really hard to stay out of someone's landing space, or it's really hard to contest a shot as well as you'd like. I don't think it was like an intentionally dirty play, but obviously it's a dangerous play. And with Tatum especially, the thing about the landing space foul that always strikes me as odd is that they don't call it a flagrant all the time. Like a lot of the time, Jayson Tatum gets, like, how many times does it happen where somebody comes underneath Jayson Tatum and gets a foul or even doesn't get a foul and it's just a play on and there's no flagrant review. And so this is the type of stuff that can happen. When Tatum came out to shoot the free throw, Sabonis went up to him, looked like he said he was sorry. Tatum just kind of looked like he kind of shrugged it off and said it's cool or whatever. I'm reading into the body language here.
Yes.
I
I think it's
definitely don't know
a fair
what was said
assessment.
between them. But it looked like they definitely like made amends there. But it's a very dangerous play, and anytime you get it into someone's landing space, a sprained ankle can happen. Who knows how much time he'll miss? He hasn't missed a lot of games this season. He's been like Superman, especially with his ankles. Like his ankles, when he rolls an ankle, he tends to just keep playing. Like it's pretty incredible. Like LeBron is the only other one that I see where you look at it, it's like, oh, he could be out for a month, and then he just keeps playing. And tonight, I mean, he was only listed as doubtful to return, but never came back. So we'll see if his ankles continue to be superhuman. But it's definitely, and especially with the way that he's been playing lately, the mastery of the game that he's shown, the playmaking that he's shown, the ability to run the entire offense, to have an answer for every defensive strategy. For him to get hurt right now at this time of the season with just a few weeks left before the playoffs, like that's a tough timing for an ankle injury like this. And hopefully it's not serious and he can just kind of shrug it off and come back soon.
Yeah, it is. He has been stuffing the box score time after time in like the last 5 or 6 weeks, and was on.
Seems like a near triple double or triple double every night.
Right, like every night. It's wild. It's like he's just taken. It's like the next phase of his career now, where that's like, oh, it's cool. He'd have a triple double here and there. Now it's like, no, he's every single night. It seems like he has at least a chance of one. And he probably would have got one tonight if it wasn't for this injury. But it is. I mean, on the one hand, you have 10 games left, 11 games left in the season here. So, and then a week before the playoffs really start. So he'll have a runway, you'd think, assuming this isn't a brutal like high ankle sprain, which obviously those can take weeks upon weeks to get right. So he should be fine. But to your point about just getting this group right before the playoffs, like I was like, you're looking at update, like the starting five has really not played together at all even during this hot stretch in the last 25 games. And so they looked really good at the beginning of that second half.
And they got off to a slow start tonight.
Exactly. Another slow start tonight. They were still in the minus net rating on the season, incredibly. That was probably going to change tonight, or may have changed anyway with the start of that third quarter. But just when it's right there, Jayson Tatum goes down. The last guy you think is going to go down goes down. And so I think it's fair to say we probably will not see this grouping together for at least the rest, probably the rest of this trip. We'll see. Who knows? Tatum is superhuman at times. We'll find out. But regardless, that does suck, because obviously Tatum playing at this level sucks to him, mess up that rhythm, but also just building the chemistry of that group again, going to the playoffs, that hurts now too. And time will tell ultimately how long that's going to be, but that's the one thing I think you want to see right now if you're Joe Mazzulla, is just more minutes, more positive minutes from that group together.
Yeah, that's like basically the only thing they have to check off over the rest of the regular season is, can you get that group playing well? And it might not even be a necessity. Jayson Tatum was asked about that group recently and just said, yeah, we know what we can do. Like you see us win the title, bro. Have you seen what we do in high leverage situations? And so I don't know if it's really a necessity, but I think it would definitely be helpful. That group, and it's kind of been cursed to some extent this season. Like Kristaps was out for a while. When he came back, he wasn't right. I think reacclimating to Porzingis sort of threw off Derek White for a while, and so he was bad during a lot of that stretch, shooting like way off his normal percentages. And so there are a lot of factors that have gone into the struggles of the starting unit. But it's insane that we're this deep into the season, a few weeks before the playoffs, and they're still a negative net rating. It seems impossible. I would have never, ever guessed that. I would have been stunned if someone told me. I actually would have called you a fucking liar to your face if you told me that. But here we are, and that's the case. And now Tatum is out, and so like I said, I don't know if it's a necessity, but it would have been nice. And now, I mean, we'll wait for the update on Tatum. Usually with a sprained ankle, you don't really know the extent of it right away.
Yeah.
And I think it was a good sign that he was able to walk under his own power. I think it was a good sign that he was able to shoot the free throws. But
when they had to take the extra time out, though, I was like, wow, okay, for him to come back. I mean, it totally makes sense, but that's when you know it was like, this is not the usual sprain for Tatum. Like, this was.
I've got a different take on that. They took the extra time out thinking he might come back
into the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
because otherwise
that would have been malpractice.
Just have someone else shoot the free throws.
Right, that's true.
That big a deal.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I can see them being like, you obviously want to keep the door open regardless, but just for like, I thought he would just come back out and take the free throws right away and then leave the game. But, when you have the timeout to burn regardless, maybe they, you give a couple minutes to see how he feels on it, and then they made clearly the wise assessment there to shut it down for the night, listing him as doubtful return. But once he lets the locker room in that game, there's just no reason. Even now, like, even if it's just like a run in the mill sprained ankle, like put him in bubble wrap for another like week or two, regardless. Like, obviously get him back for the last week of the regular season, get him right, get his wind up, etc. But this was, this is the guy you just can't. He's playing so well right now. He's playing so well, and this is like if they don't lose a championship and he can't get back to this level, everyone's going to look back to this night being like, man, like that stupid Sabonis cutting under him. Like, you hope we don't like a film like that, but if he physically can't get back to it, this will be obviously the night people look at.
I've got an unrelated take, and I'm not saying that Jayson Tatum sprained his ankle because he's played too many minutes. I'm not saying he sprained his ankle because he played on the second night of a back-to-back. It was a fluke injury. Sabonis came up under him. He rolled his ankle. It could have happened at any time. He could have been perfectly well rested. He could have been at 100% peak powers. It was unnecessary for him to play on the second leg of a back-to-back.
Yes.
Totally unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. I know Cleveland has lost some games lately. You're still far enough behind Cleveland. You're not catching Cleveland. You're not. Nope. Unless they continue their insane tailspin, which they're not going to. You're not going to catch them. And so it should be about prioritizing rest. And I know Tatum loves playing on the road, and we talked about it after the game last night. You're going to have arguments with Jayson Tatum. He's going to want to play, especially on the road, where he's talked about 100% of the time he wants to be out there, for especially in the places where they only play one time. And fans in Sacramento, it was their one chance to see him this season. And it's admirable that he feels that way. It's admirable in an age of load management that he does not want to manage his load, that he wants to be out there all the time, that he wants to play every minute possible. But you have to save him from him. And this deep into the season, the amount of minutes he's played, the amount of games he's played, the burden that he's carried night to night, it's time to get him some rest. They just rested Jaylen Brown. They've rested Drew Holiday. They've rested Al Horford. They've rested Kristaps Porzingis. Rest Jayson Tatum. He carries a bigger load than any of those guys. And there are 3 weeks left in the regular season. And it is past time to rest him. So I'm not saying this injury had anything to do with that. But I am saying that they need to approach this differently. And maybe it won't matter.
This might be the wake-up call, though. This might be the wake-up call to what you're talking about, though. Like an injury like this, like a flukish thing, but also it's like he needs the rest. And the more you're out there for games that don't matter, the higher the chances are of something flukish happening like this, on top of the burden that you're talking about. So, like, whether it's a wake-up call for Tatum, Joe, whoever, like, is obviously Tatum's kind of calling the shots here, at least when he's going to play or not for a lot of these nights. But yeah, this is one, again, you hope, we very much hope that this is not something that we're talking about in a month from now. But it's regardless, they should be resting him up the next 10 games anyway, because they're literally playing for nothing at this point.
It was nice that tonight they could have gotten a look at the starting five. That was a reason to play everybody, I guess.
Right.
But also, you could have waited. You could have tried to get him get those minutes later. Adam Himmelsbach just tweeted that Jayson Tatum is not being made available for interviews. He's at his locker eating and joking with teammates and wearing sneakers on both feet, though.
Right,
So
I assume Jayson Tatum will be ready for game 1 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinals. I think we can
yeah, so
put that on there. But still, rest him, but make sure he's nice and healed for that.
All of these seem like good signs. Everything that you would want to see from a sprained ankle, he's been able to do. Walked under his own power. Now he's just chilling in the locker room. He's not going to get x-rays. He's not at the hospital. He's not in a walking boot or on crutches or anything like that. So hopefully he's avoided significant injury, but obviously a scary moment, and especially the way he reacted to it. I don't know if you can even step to the free throw line after. Like, you gotta, the way he reacted it's like you gotta amputate your ankle or something like that. You gotta amputate your foot. That was a.
Have you had a bad sprained ankle like that? Like, what if
I'm joking, but yeah,
did anyone ever cut you under you? Like, what's
it
your
feels terrible, and especially at first, when you're like nervous about it. At this, like, you feel the initial pain, and then you're sort of nervous about it at the same time, and there's like you almost overreact to the pain, but you feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I understand exactly what he's going through, but I'm just having fun. There was a lot of other random stuff that happened in this game.
Eventful game.
Yeah. The first, we'll start with probably the most important thing from a long-term perspective. Bill Chisholm. Bill Chisholm, Celtics new owner. Bill Chisholm was there. He was interviewed with his wife, Kimberly, I believe is her name, on NBC Sports Boston. They were charming. They seemed charming. They loved Abby Chin, which is awesome. I love that Abby got her flowers. Friend of the program, Abby Chin. Yes. And I thought he did a good job answering the questions. Sort of said, they were asking him what the last few days like. He's like, it's been emotional. And I thought that was a perfect answer. Like, a longtime Celtics fan gets control of the franchise, and he's like, man, I've just been emotional. Like, this is awesome. This is amazing. What are you kidding me? And so it was cool to see him. He was front row sitting next to Vivek Ranadive. I believe that's how you say his name. And just having fun. He introduced himself. Looked like he introduced himself to some players. Looked like he, from what Abby was saying, he chatted with the team, I think before the game at some point. And so he's starting to become a part of the team, starting to become a part of the process. And it was they both seemed very likable in that interview on TV.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously a looser atmosphere for him than his initial interview with Forsberg last week. And yeah, you can just see they're like, you're going in. Yeah, if you're a lifelong freaking fan of the Celtics, and this is now you're gonna own the team for real in a couple months. Like, that is, he's clearly starstruck by that, and everyone wants to know who he is and what he's about. And like you said, it all came across well. Like, I love the shout out to the kids in the middle of the interview there. I'm sure they're over the moon too that their dads and mom are front and center now being interviewed by Abby Chin, who they're a big fan of, and love that Kimberly seemed to be all about Joe Mazzulla, which is also a very entertaining part of that interview too. So it sounds like they're going to be back at the Garden when they come back from the road trip. So I don't know if they'll do a press conference then or do more of a interview then or wait till the deal officially goes through. But yeah, good to see him. And he was, I think the NBC Sports Boston camera showed Tatum coming over, introducing himself to him before the game and talking with Brad. So he's clearly making the rounds, with the guys
The
in progress here.
nickname Billy Banners
Yeah,
also
Billy
came out of that interview, which is absolutely perfect. I feel like that's the most Massachusetts nickname you could come up with for the new Celtics owner. Billy Banners could not be better, actually. Billy Banners is perfect. Whoever said that to Bill Chisholm tonight in Sacramento, you are a hero. You are a legend. And I could not respect you more.
Yeah, that too easy. Writes itself. And I feel like that will go along. I can't wait to see what the Still Potable chat comes up with that on top of the Billy Banners.
Billy fucking Banners. What a name. What a name. All right, let's get into
And then the game.
The actual basketball stuff. I thought one really important move was to just put Kristaps Porzingis on DeMar DeRozan. And Porzingis on Sabonis obviously is not the ideal matchup. And the Celtics just decided, let's throw Drew Holiday on him. Let's switch Jayson Tatum on him. Let's throw Jaylen Brown on him. And let's have Kristaps guard DeMar DeRozan, who obviously can really shoot it from mid-range, but isn't going to shoot a lot of threes. For a while, it almost seemed like, you know how when a team goes zone, the opponent just kind of loses its brain for a little while and just forgets how to play basketball. And even NBA teams are just like stumbling all over themselves, not sure what to do. It seemed like DeMar DeRozan had that for a little while when Kristaps first started guarding him. And he was just kind of like, what am I supposed to do here? I'm wide open from mid-range. and that's where he makes everything. And he's like, but I'm not used to this. I'm used to people guarding me. I'm used to having to up fake guards and shoot over them. And Kristaps was laying back and letting him do his thing. And I thought that was a really good move from the Celtics. And sort of like, this is going to be an insane comment that I'm about to say, because they're the Sacramento Kings and they're not very good at basketball and really not like the cream of the crop. But it felt like a sort of playoff type decision where you have to decide, like, are you going to guard the really big physical guy with wings? And are you going to have Kristaps guard a really talented wing? Or are you going to do the inverse of that? And they went with Kristaps on DeMar, and I thought that just totally changed things and gave the Celtics defense everything it needed. And I just thought I loved the way they played defense in that second half. I thought there was a lot of energy. They were hustling after loose balls. It was not a great first half for Kristaps Porzingis, but I thought the entire team in the second half, like, really, really was sharp.
Yeah, that was again, that Kings team is not very good, but they can put up points at home and they can run you off the floor. And they came out of the gates in that game. I think they scored like 17 points in the first 4 minutes like that. So it looked like, this could be a long night for the Celtics defense with the back-to-back here. But like you said, like Porzingis in that matchup, bit of a revelation. I think that's just like, that's good practice for him, Jay, like for the playoffs too, to your point of like, obviously there's going to be times where they're going to need him to switch. There's going to be times where they're probably going to put him in funky matchups for reasons like that. To maybe you take a team by surprise. Maybe you just throw a guy off his rhythm. And he was up to the challenge of that. And then again, they've been playing like this. They've been kind of sticking single bigs here for this trip. To kind of, I think, just to get themselves ready for the playoffs with everyone there. And but lo and behold, when Tatum went out, they went back to those double bigs with Luke and KP in the middle there, and that defense was stellar. Like the double bigs has been all year long when that, even against a team like the Kings. So seeing that come together, seeing KP be a bright spot defensively after a rough first half for him from a fouling standpoint, all good signs on this trip so far.
I think another reason for going to more small lineups is just you want to keep Baylor Shireman on the court.
Yeah.
You want to keep giving him opportunities. And Baylor Shireman, forget what he did in preseason. Forget what he did early in the season. Not the same human anymore.
No.
Just absolutely not the same human. And I'm probably going to overreact because he's been very good now for like 4 games. but there's just like he plays with an energy. And I don't mean that just as like he's hustling. I mean that as like he keeps the energy flowing. He gets it, he moves it quick. He gets it, he either pump fakes or shoots a three. And if he pump fakes, he tries to drive, and then he keeps the ball moving. He's chasing after offensive rebounds. He's relocating. He's doing all the things that kind of keep an offense moving. And when the Celtics were looking at him when he was in college, that's all the stuff. The shooting was nice, and the shooting the last few games has been really helpful. But it's everything else that he does that drew the Celtics to him. It was like all the secondary creation he could do, all the passing that he can do. And I thought that behind the back pass he made, where he missed a three, didn't let it deter him, went and stole an outlet pass, and then hit Peyton Pritchard with a behind the back pass in transition. Just
top 10 sequence of the year for the team.
Just beautiful. And Baylor Shireman is playing with confidence. He's playing with pizzazz. He's playing with spunk. He's playing with whatever stupid word you want to use. And right now he's really helping the Celtics. And so I think that's part of the reason too why they've gone with fewer big lineups is just you have another wing option now, and he's actually playing helpful basketball, and he's been good on both ends. Like, salute to Baylor Shireman, because that dude has transformed himself within the course of his rookie season, and he's given himself a leg up on all the other competition in the mix for minutes right behind Sam Hauser. And obviously Sam Hauser didn't play tonight, and that's another reason why Shireman was in there getting minutes, but he's really taken advantage of this run that he's gotten lately and has had the best sustained stretch of any of those end of bench guys all season.
Easily. Not even close. This is, I think, we're talking about like 4 or 5 legit performances now in the last 2 weeks, or at least in March. You go back to the Sixers game was his breakout. The Nets game, he went for 20 points. I thought he gave good minutes in the Portland game too. And then obviously tonight, and he's shooting close to 50% from 3 in March now. And so when the shooting is there, and like you said, all the other aspects of his game that you thought you'd see more of in the preseason, but was clearly there in Maine, and he was able to get his confidence back now. And now he's rolling a foot. I love to see how just fired up he was after he made that behind the back play. Like, he got the goggles out. He gave like Drew a monster high five going down the court. Yeah,
out on the bench too.
He at least knows not to do the kiss anymore. Tatum stay off his back. But no, like you said, that having that now, and again, this kind of goes back to like the Tatum being like, guys shouldn't be playing back to backs at any point, because if you have Baylor Shireman ready and able to give you 25 good minutes at this point now, then it's like, it's great to just develop him, see what he's got right now. Maybe you need him in the pinch in the playoffs, something like that. But certainly for the long term, this is huge for him and huge for this team going forward, because they're clearly going to need him, and maybe need him a lot next year, depending on how this offseason goes. But for him to make this type of a jump at this point in the season is huge. And the confidence is kind of like overflowing with him right now. And it's cool to see, because they obviously have not had consistent wing production behind Hauser on the bench all year long. And now it took them a while to get there, but they found it.
The line of the night goes to Eddie House after Cornette overpowered Sabonis for an offensive rebound and a bucket. Looked like Sabonis, his face was hurting. And Eddie said on the broadcast, "We'll get his face out the way."
You should have been standing there.
Get his face out the fucking way, bro. Move your face out the way. He shouldn't have been standing there.
Between that and the shots at Fultz's jump shot by Eddie, it was a great Eddie night on commentary.
Yeah, and Fultz responded by, I believe, making his first 2 threes. There was a lot of random. It's too bad Packard's not on this post.
I know. We'll have to use the.
It was a
use the
big
junk.
It was a
I'll hit
big
the-
junk night. Big
Find it.
junk night.
At least we're not gonna do everyone, but that's for Packard.
Tatum's one-leg jumper. I don't know if that counts as junk.
Yes.
Ball junk. Just such a random shot for him to take. LaMelo Ball takes those shots. Few other people have ever taken those shots. I guess Victor Wembanyama does every once in a while. James Harden tried it for a little while. I don't think he really does it anymore. I've seen Jayson Tatum practice those. Never seen him do it in a game. And it was smooth. It was beautiful. And it went in.
Was the shot clock even running down when he took it? Like, I feel like it wasn't that big of a desperation. It was just so in rhythm. It was wild.
Yeah. Incredible shot. I was stunned when it happened. I was even more stunned when it went in. The Joe Mazzulla's reaction to Derek White jumping at DeMar DeRozan's fake was too funny. It was too funny. So DeMar DeRozan did his normal up fake, and of course, everybody jumps at DeMar DeRozan up fakes. I remember years ago, I think this was back when DeRozan, he might have still been on the Raptors even, and Jaylen Brown was guarding him. He did like 5 straight up fakes, and for 4 of them, Jaylen was right there, like just on his feet, not moving, not budging for that fake. He knew he shouldn't go for that fake. And then the 5th one, Jaylen jumped and fouled him and was like, you got to be kidding me. And was so mad at himself. And it wasn't the same type of sequence. There weren't as many up fakes, but Derek White, who doesn't get got a lot, who's typically as solid as they come, he got by the DeMar DeRozan up fake that gets everybody. So salute to DeMar, but on the bench, it was so funny. I think if it had been another defender, Joe probably would have been more irritated. But with Derek, who does the right thing all the time, Joe just kind of gave him a hug and gave him like a, a smile. And it was a hilarious interaction. Also hilarious reaction was Porzingis got a technical foul from the bench. And he just replied by laughing. He was just laughing on the bench. And then the camera cut to Al Horford. And Al Horford was like just peering at, I assume, the ref. He was just like eyes got small. And it was like, you don't want to be on Al Horford's bad side, because if Al Horford's looking at you like that, you probably really screwed up. And he's a guy that you don't want to let down. I feel like if you let down Al Horford, it's like letting down Lee Trevino in Happy Gilmore. Like you just don't want to do it.
My other piece of junk here, I very much enjoyed, speaking of letting people down, Joe's marching out in the middle, pretty much across the entire court when they had to challenge the out of bounds called. I think Baylor, was sitting on the bench immediately, like, no, that went off him. And Joe just like, what do you think that interaction like as a ref there? Be like, you guys, you're gonna make me waste this stupid challenge. I think it was Courtney Curtin, like in the first half.
Like he was kind of like, yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Like,
right. I might have missed that one.
Right. It's like, this is why we gave you the challenges, so you can do this. So I don't know what you want me to say, but Joe just losing his shit. And being allowed to do that because the ref's not going to tee him up when they know that they missed the call there. So that I got a pretty good kick out of that.
So Taylor Snow tweeted the video of Joe Mazzulla responding to Jayson Tatum with the caption, Joe Mazzulla says Jayson Tatum seems to be doing okay after spraining his left ankle. He later added, quote, I know he'll do anything and everything to make sure he gets better. So
we'll see him Wednesday night.
Good news that he seems to be doing okay. Obviously, I think if it had been a super bad sprain, they'd probably know it by now, or they'd fear it by now.
Yeah, he'd be in a boot or something, at least you'd think.
Yeah, he'd be really hurting tonight. Instead, all signs seem positive so far. So great signs after he really was writhing in pain. It was not the normal Jayson Tatum reaction to getting hurt, and then he walked off. He was on the bench for a little while. They were looking at him, and somehow walked back on to shoot the free throws. Made one of them. Bad free throw shooting night for Jayson Tatum, even before the ankle injury. His free throws have kind of been weird.
Yeah, they his percentages down the line this year. I haven't looked too closely at them.
81.
81. All right, so that's
It's not
fine, but
it would
down
be
for him probably.
the worst of his career.
Yeah, you're right.
But not a huge deal.
No, that's
Not a huge deal, probably.
81% your worst year, then you're just fine.
But it does make me question whether he should automatically be shooting the technical free
right.
throw.
When you have White and Pritchard out there, I would say no, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, also 30 seconds from you, Jalen back. How do you look to you?
Jalen, he looked fine.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't a huge Jalen night at all. But he didn't seem to be bothered by anything. What did you think of the Jalen experience tonight?
I agree. I think he came out a little slow, or was not nursing the knee or anything like that, but now with the burp. But then I feel like he had a few moves, second half, that all went away, and it just looked like Jalen again. So
yeah, he overpowered Trey Lyles.
Yeah,
Peyton Pritchard also overpowered Trey Lyles, which is just a bully move from Peyton Pritchard. Yeah, Jalen, obviously his stat line, 9 points, looks
2 rebounds,
3 turnovers, 0 assists. It looks really weak, meek, whatever you want to say. But it just felt like tonight they decided they were going to play through Jayson Tatum and use Jayson Tatum to attack Sabonis. And they were just playing in a way that did not prioritize getting Jaylen Brown involved much. So,
agreed. And I wonder if this is just keeping his minutes down anyway. Good. You only play 26 minutes. Great. That's what he should be. If the knee's still bothering you at all, he should just be in the 20s until they want to ramp him up a little bit more out of the playoffs here. But yeah, it's too bad. I mean, Suns game Wednesday night should be fun. We'll see I assume we won't see Tamford, but I imagine everyone else will be good to go for it. So this was a semi-test against the Kings, and now you get, a team that's battling out with them for Western Conference play-in positioning, which is hilarious to think, given the Suns are paying $200 million in taxes here.
We're nearly 40 minutes into this podcast about Celtics-Kings, so we're going to wrap this up. But I just want to shout out Luke Cornett, who had another big game, and Peyton Pritchard, who had another big game. They just did their normal thing. Cornett had one pass to Porzingis that was just awesome. Derek White hit him on the roll, and there were 2 guys right on his back, and he seemed to notice it right away and just spun and found Kristaps on the left wing all alone. It was the opposite wing. Just those quick reads that Cornett has been making in so many ways. It's just really impressive for a big man, especially a big man who's 7'2", to make repeatedly legitimate reads like that over and over again. Salute to Cornett. The guy just greases an offense, just absolutely greases an offense. And he's been a big part of what the Celtics have done so far this season. Thank you guys. You guys are the biggest part of what we do, the kids, the gods, and the legends. We love you. If you are just listening on Twitter right now or YouTube or wherever you are, the live show, sign up. Come to patreon.com/stillpotable. We're here Monday through Friday, and we'll be here Monday through Friday every week, all year long. Playoffs are coming. This is only going to get more intense, and we're going to be here to have fun through it all. So thank you guys, and we'll catch you later.
Still Potable, Still Potable. oxygen, still bottle, still bottle. Oh yeah.
Slow down from eating and drinking and all that wild stuff.